Oh, hey gamers. Didn't see you there. I'm Ted. I'm Truman's older and significantly more attractive brother. But not today. Today, I'm just here to be your host for the Truman show. Wait. Truman Needs a Date. A celebration. I'm here today with Truman. Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me be here. Are we sure this is how we want to do the intro for the episode? This isn't really on brand for the show.
But it was like, that was a good intro, right?
Oh, very. Yeah. It's a nice sweater, by the way. Is that a German sweater or that's a US original? Yeah. I mean, hey, who am I to say, right? Nobody. I'm realizing more and more quickly I'm nobody to say.
So, this isn't how we're doing it.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna leave. Yeah, back up in the same spot, See you later.
This has been the Truman this
What's up, gamers? Let's break this down. Now, I know everyone has been waiting for literal months for me to break down the specific interactions that I had on Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge, and I will get to that. But first... Okay, that's fair. First, I need to go over a couple of other things that have happened in those various areas that I reaped. I got a couple more Google Form submissions since the last episode, which I would like to touch on. Apparently, someone who watches my videos sent the link to the form to their gay friend. And I'm not gay. Sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. It's not my fault. So I don't have to apologize for not being gay. I also got a submission from a great person, and I think it would embarrass them a little too much if I shared too much of their submission, so I'll just talk about one specific part. On the question of, if you do know Truman in real life, what is your favorite trait of his? This person wrote, he's got a lot of confidence and appears to be very outspoken. I can appreciate some honesty. I don't think of myself as particularly confident, especially not around people I'm attracted to, the submitter of this form included. And so the fact that they see me as confident is puzzling. I thought about this for a long time. It sent me on some deep rabbit holes of personal thought. I started thinking about, how I appear to this person. And I realized that most of the time that I spend around them, I spend with them in slightly larger groups. Not huge groups, but slightly larger. And I think that got different wheels turning in my head when I realized that. As you all know, I'm a performer, I'm a comedian, and in larger groups of people, I tend to not necessarily play a character that isn't myself, but perform. I do feel like I'm performing more than if I'm just one-on-one. I feel like I'm a very different person if I'm walking in a park with one person or if I'm walking in a park with 6 people. Like, it depends on the people that I'm with, obviously. At the same time, I'd rather perform improv in front of hundreds of strangers than start a conversation with 4 strangers. Like I said, I started down the rabbit hole of thinking about who I am as a person and the situations in which I am that person or not that person, if the case may be, and the ways that I present myself and the implications of what that means onto who I am as a person. All of that started with 2 sentences on a Google form I made almost entirely as a joke. All of the episodes of this show have done some really interesting things to my brain that I'll touch on later. And this submission, since it was mostly people that I already know who filled it out, I kind of got to see the things that they don't always say out loud, which was fascinating to think about and look at. But I'm really getting some insight from this. Anyway, and then I got a submission from someone who used the email cthulhumail@voidmail.com. So, mixed bag. I'm going to touch a little bit now on TikTok. As you may or may not recall, the last time I talked about TikTok, I made a video asking for dating advice from former Vice President Al Gore. He didn't respond, and I thought, it's around the election time, no biggie, he'll respond eventually. But he didn't even like the video, so I wasn't sure exactly what was going on, but I thought I didn't make a big deal out of it until I did get followed by another TikTok account from one Miss Elizabeth formerly Gore. If I had done just one modicum of research, I would have realized that Al Gore and his wife have been separated for 10 years. But I didn't do that. I'm sorry, Al. Also, Tipper Gore, thanks so much for the follow. That's so funny to me. Am I an idiot? Is this not funny at all? That I was worried for a second when Al Gore didn't like my TikTok? Anyway, that is all I needed to mention from previous episodes. So now we can finally get on to talking about Tinder. Alright, let's do this. You'll have to excuse the change of clothes. Apparently all that filming today was too much for me. Anyway, let's get started with Tinder, shall we? When I started swiping across on Tinder, I was obviously doing it expressly for the purpose of these videos. And while I was doing it for that, I was having a great time. I started swiping right on everyone who has the thing in their bio that says, send me your best pickup line, because believe you me, I have a plethora. Unfortunately, only one of the people who have send me your best pickup line in their bio liked me back, so I only matched with one of them, so I could only start a conversation with one of them. So I guess I'll just have to keep most of those in my back pocket for emergencies? I don't know. I discovered some interesting things about what could be called my flirting techniques. For example, I would frequently start conversations with, yo, what's diggity? In fact, the person that I matched with in the first video, Kayla, that's how I started that conversation, with, yo, what's diggity? And she is, to date, the only person to reply after I opened it with, yo, what's diggity? So, good sign? I'll get back to that conversation in a moment. One of the other things I discovered I kind of already knew, which is that one of my go-to compliments for girls is to compliment their glasses. I started doing that because I thought that that's something that people don't get complimented on quite as frequently. So I thought, that's a little thing I can use to be unique. But then that morphed into my go-to compliment when I couldn't come up with something to compliment. And at the same time, when I get too nervous and I don't know what to say, so that's just what spurts out of me. If I've ever complimented your glasses, it's either because I think you're really cute and I am nervous, or I feel obligated to compliment you but can't find anything else, you ugly piece of crap. I think that covers my bases. Then, as I started to match with more and more people, the idea that started this series, the joke of how I'm unattractive and people don't want to go on dates with me and I'm therefore desperate, that started to fade. I started to actually want to go on dates with some of these people, which, again, wasn't the intent when I started this. Now, was that wrong intent misleading to these girls? Yes. Do I feel bad about that? Yes. Am I going to do anything about that? No? Anyway, before I realized how much I was straying from the intent of the series, I started noticing some things about the app and the way it makes me think. It had, at the time, made me more judgmental, more misogynistic, more selfish. It's gamified the most base level of attraction. I had convinced myself that if a woman didn't swipe right on me, then she's not a happy person. And then I would have a certain minuscule interaction with someone on Tinder, and my self-esteem would swing in the other direction. All of a sudden, I'm the ugliest, worst person in the world, and any woman who swiped right on me was dumb, and that's why they were attracted to me, or they were catfishing me, or they were doing it as a joke, or they were being manipulative and swiped right on everyone, or they were a bot, or something like that. I know that sounds crazy, but that's just what my brain told me as I went on and had extended periods of time without matching with people or with matching with too many people. I started becoming defensive during prolonged conversations. It seemed like they were trying to find an excuse to unmatch with me. One person, for some reason, didn't believe that I was actually allergic to cats, and they were like calling my bluff and asking what medication and stuff. Like, what? Why do you... Are you gatekeeping allergies? It felt like I had to defend everything in my bio to people asking me these questions, and I wasn't having fun talking to them. It felt like answering questions in court. Now, Mr. Jones, if you'll oblige me, I'd like to circle once more through your selection of photos. Now, if the jury will notice, there are no pictures of a cat in any of the photos. How, therefore, can we be sure that he's telling the truth about his cat allergy? Need I remind you, sir, that you are under oath? For some reason. Yeah, something like that. Now, these paths that my brain went down may not be Tinder's fault at all. For all I know, this doesn't affect the average user whatsoever. And these are things that would have happened to my brain anyway. And in 10, 20, 6 years from now, when I'm the host of a late-night TV show called The Truman Show with this logo, which reviews call a subversive smash hit, which is topping at a 96% audience and a 90% critics rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm a truly idol and comedic inspiration to millions... When that happens, it's entirely possible that someone will make a detailed YouTube video essay about how I have several mental illnesses that I never noticed and use this very video as evidence and context. Or maybe none of that will happen. Either way, with all that in mind, let's take a look at some of the conversations I've had on Tinder. Speaking with Kayla, the very first conversation I had on Tinder, as I said, I opened it with, "Yo, what's diggity?" I don't have these conversations at all, and like I said, this was the first conversation I had, so I wasn't sure what to do with it. I'm just waiting. I don't know what for is the only problem. Oh, that's sick. Do you have an idea of what you're waiting for? LOL? No, it's getting to be quite distressing. Wait, no. I heard a beep. My pizza bagels are done. That was it. Now, I'm not very good at having conversations with girls.
Hello, sir. We'd like to present you with this award for most unique person ever.
Thank you.
No one else experiences the exact same thing as you.
I matched with this person who is a non-binary individual, and their photos, I can't even describe them. I don't want to use them for privacy reasons, but you seem like the kind of person who is just infinitely cooler than me all the time. And they said, LMAO, not true, but you do look like the kind of person to fall in love too fast. That is the most accurate description of me that a complete and total stranger has uncovered, probably ever. I almost bought a Nintendo Switch from this person, but then I had to go to the urgent care. That was a very fascinating set of events that I had with that person. There was also someone I matched with on Tinder and had nothing short of a dandy little conversation with, until I happened to poke fun at something in their bio, the fact that they identified themselves as a member of the occult and a witch, and they didn't like that I poked fun at that, so they put a curse on me through the Tinder chat, at which point they unmatched with me before I could get screenshots of it. But that's another thing that I didn't know was in the Tinder rules, is that you could just unmatch with someone right after cursing them. So, learn something new every day. Now, all three of these apps have a limit on how many people you can like or even see in a certain amount of time. Tinder had the highest cap on that. I want to say it's like 50 likes a day or something like that. Or 50 likes every 12 hours. I think that was it. And because of that, I matched with the most people on Tinder. Now, Bumble was interesting because, as I mentioned, the woman is always the one who initiates the conversation. I think that's a great idea. I think that can do a lot to counter harassment and just unwanted messages in general. However, that does mean that even though I matched with a fair amount of people on Bumble, I wasn't able to have conversations with quite enough of them. I didn't have nearly as many conversations on there, but the conversations that I did have were some of the people who I conversed with for the longest amount of time. So the ratio of fruitful conversations to semantic repeated introductions was pretty good. But that doesn't mean that Bumble was without fault. For example, the swiping mechanics are a lot more fragile and hair trigger. And the way that bios are set up is that you scroll down to look at a person. So if I'm just swiping just one-handed and I'm trying to scroll down to see more about this person, it'll like them right away. Does this make sense to you? Did this lead to any matches that I didn't want to match with? No, but it could have, and that's what's dangerous. As I mentioned before, all these apps have a cap on how many people you can see or like in a day. Bumble's wasn't the lowest. It was confusing. It didn't seem to be a set number of people or likes a day. Bumble's was a very picky algorithm. Some days I could keep swiping for an hour, and then other days I could see one person before it would go away. Or some days I would go a full 24 hours without seeing any at all. But the touchy algorithm had more problems than just that. I would get a push notification when I hadn't opened the app in a little while that would say, you'll never find anyone unless you start swiping, so get at it, you lonely idiot. But then I would open the app and I would be out of likes for the day. So I still couldn't see people, even though I got a notification about it. All right, let's get on to some of the Bumble conversations. This person had in their bio, if we can't discuss the politics of Mario characters, then I don't want to have it. So that was a great example, I think, of something to put in your bio for people who are watching this for tips and tricks. Something that's a conversation starter that, like, isn't super weighty, you know, like that's just a fun, goofy thing to do. Nintendo's not going to sue you over that. This person decided that since we were both bored that day, I should just become her boyfriend. And they said, okay, boyfriend, you should come over so that I'm not bored. Hate to say it, but that's a no-go. I'm at the tail end of a quarantine. Sad, we should break up. Hate to see you go. I'll treasure this relationship forever. You were the best I ever had. By default, I suppose you were too. That sharp wit always sliced my heart, you know? I only ask that you don't cry for me. Take these experiences, these lessons, and grow. I don't think I'll ever be able to love another. You can't write that. You can't. You just can't, okay? That's the kind of meaningful interaction and connection that you can only have on a free dating app. Hinge may have been my favorite dating app that I used, with a big ol' asterisk there. Hinge was the dating app that chose to focus on personality more than looks the most. It really focused on, you know, having these conversation prompts rather than just going off of looks, which is a good thing, you know, especially for myself. And for that reason, I believe it was also the best at assisting conversation starters, because you can also like a specific photo and send a message along with that, or like a specific prompt in the person's profile, conversation prompt, rather than just liking their profile in general. There were a significant amount of people who I matched with on Hinge that I wouldn't even swipe right on Tinder or Bumble. So that's a good thing, you know. It helped me become less shallow, I guess, deeper, less shallow. Well, it helped me become something. Just a fun thing to insert here, as I was doing research on the prices of the premium versions of each of these apps, which will be later in the video that'll talk about that, I discovered that Hinge has a merch website. Apparently people are such big fans of this dating app that you can buy t-shirts, necklaces, even a stuffed animal of the thing from the Hinge ads? Who's buying that? Anyway, let's get into the conversations that I had on Hinge. This person I had a couple very fascinating conversations with. We talked about TikTok. I said, I'd follow you, but I'm keeping to a very specific bit where I only follow former Vice President Al Gore. You know about this bit already, but she doesn't. So much so that she doesn't know who Al Gore is. I mean, yeah, technically, I don't know why I know who Al Gore is, but I know that. Like, I wasn't alive under his vice presidency. Anyway, I also had a conversation with this person about the board game Clue. She said, I'm a master at BVN Clue, which I thought was like a very specific type of Clue. Like one of those like movie promotions that they do and they just make a Monopoly version or a Risk version, or in this case, Clue version of that. So I said, what does the BVN stand for? Actually, let me guess. Bavarian Viper Ninjas, both voted no. Bring various needles. Bosnian volunteer neurologists. Batman versus Namor, the Submariner. But no, she didn't mean to send that. That was a typo. But I will be making all of these versions of Clue. Check out the link for merch in the bio. So this person said 2 truths and a lie. I have a tattoo of a celebrity. I go to Disneyland every year. I love to read and own 200 plus books. I just said, do I get points if I guess the celebrity? And so I guess that wasn't the lie, because they said, yeah, I'll give you 3 chances to guess. And I said, is it Randy Quaid? She doesn't know who Randy Quaid is, but a Randy Quaid tattoo would look like this, I assume. I don't have one. Well, was I right? No, I wasn't. My next guess was Jason Alexander, and she never responded to that, so I took that as a no. And then a couple days later, I changed my mind and I said, wait, no, it's definitely Dame Maggie Smith. These are what those tattoos would look like. Again, I do not have them. This is another person that I started the conversation with by saying, what's diggity? And this person said, are you referring to the song? Apparently this thing that I say a lot is from a song? I said, there's a song, and they said, yeah, it's called No Diggity by Blackstreet. They said, sorry, just got to class, learning how to put an ECG on someone. And I said, fun. That stands for e-cigarette, right? LOL, it's the same as an EKG. Aha. An e-cigarette. Yeah, gotcha. I had the most matches with Tinder. Therefore, I had the most conversations. On Bumble, I knew for sure that the women who were talking to me were committed enough to make the first move. On Hinge, I felt like I had more to talk about with each person, and the conversation felt deeper than on any of the other apps. I do have something else to bring up. They all have monetization. Tinder has Tinder Plus as well as Tinder Gold. Bumble has Bumble Coins as well as Bumble Boost. And Hinge has a premium version. The connecting tissue between all of these is that they are all so expensive. For example, I got this thing for Hinge. 1 month of Hinge Premium is $40. 6 months is $120. Who has that kind of money to spend on something that it's pretty widely agreed you should be doing face-to-face anyway? Tinder Gold is priced similarly. For 1 month is $30, 6 months is $112.99, for 12 months is an even $150. $150 for a year. That's so much money. Ideally, if these apps work, you won't need it for a year, right? Like, maybe it's just because I'm not that desperate yet, but the idea of spending any money on this is crazy to me. But at the same time, like, if you find the love of your life, isn't it worth all the money in the world? No, it's not. $150 for a year. Anyway, I thought to myself, as I was compiling this video, there's a lot of people that I've talked to, and some genuinely fun conversations I've had with some fun people. So I decided to go all in and go on dates with all of these people. Well, let me change that. Go on a date with all of these people. That's right, a group date. Kind of. Everyone's dating me. So what I did was I set up an Among Us lobby, and I contacted a lot of people from these dating apps, gave them a Discord link, which we would use for the voice chat for Among Us. No one showed up. But despite that, I had fun. I joined some public lobbies and I messed around and I had a good time. And I didn't need those people. I started these videos to make jokes about finding love. And I met a lot of people and I talked to a lot of people, and a lot of the conversations that I had a lot of sentimental value, even if not for them, for myself. It sent my brain down some paths that helped me discover who I am. I did find love on these dating apps. Not from any of the users, but from myself. Oh, I shouldn't have had those comedy pills. Don't play that outro music quite yet there. I've got some real sentimentality to gush out at you after that fake sentimentality at the end of that video. This is not the last video on this channel, and nor will it be the last video with me on it in this channel. I have at least 2 more, if not 3, depends on how editing works out, videos heavily featuring me or produced by me that will go up on this channel before I leave. But other than that, that is the end of me on this channel. The channel will be in very good hands, don't worry about that. Thank you for sticking through this series. Those of you who have, and those of you who haven't, you're not watching this, are you? So, I'm gonna miss this. I'm gonna miss hearing people laugh about and quote my videos. I would absolutely love to keep in touch, so please reach out to me. Even if you just submit another thing to that Google form, that'll be a great way because I'll have your email address. There were some fun experiences I had on the dating apps that I didn't put in this video. So if you want to hear about those, then email me. It's funny screenshots, but this video was just way too long already. So thank you for watching. And, I'll see you in 2 years.